Thank you for joining us. We're Jack and Mary, and we're full-time RVers traveling the country and exploring new places. I'm also an artist, and we're always looking to capture our adventures on canvas. So come along and let's go chasing some landscapes. Today we're going to show you just a few things we did in Florida, and we never stepped foot inside of a theme park. First up is this cool little trail we discovered in nearby Hawthorne called the Gainsboro-Hawthorne State Trail. It's a 16-mile trail that begins at the Bulwer Springs City Park in Gainesville and ends in the city of Hawthorne. You can see native plants and wildlife. Hey, look out! That was close, but back to our story. On this historic rail bed turned greenway, sure to see some historic sites along the way. Next up is Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park, which spans nearly 23,000 acres and over 30 miles of trails. They even have a 50-foot observation tower with panoramic views. We bravely walked the single path out onto the prairie and saw a few deer, a snake, and some bison at the end. And when we turned around, we saw this guy coming toward us. We had nowhere to go, so we just stood still and waited for him to pass and pray he wasn't the murdering kind. And as he got within a few feet, he stepped out into the marsh and disappeared. Phew. Crisis averted. Thank goodness. You just can't go to Florida without visiting St. Augustine. Besides being the oldest city in the nation, St. Augustine has so much diversity. It's a virtual melting pot of a lot of different cultures, like Spanish, British, French, Irish, and Native Americans. The city is steeped in history and is the oldest continuous occupied settlement of European and African American origin in the U.S. Can you believe it was 42 years before the English colonized Jamestown? And 55 years before Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock. St. Augustine is also home to the oldest wooden schoolhouse in the country, over on St. Charles Street, where a lot of these photos were taken. Speaking of history, have you ever heard of something called the St. Augustine Secret? It's a treasure hunt created by a guy named Byron Price. The hunt involves the search for 12 treasure boxes buried at secret locations across the U.S. and Canada, with which Price wrote about in a book in 1982. Price died in 2005, but promised to exchange any of the chests that were found with the precious gem. And as of 2023, only 3 of the 12 boxes have been found. Do you think he could have hid it behind this old water wheel on St. Charles Street? Or maybe behind Michael Jackson's jacket at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Or maybe here on Wizard Island in Crater Lake. My last guess would be that it's under the bricks at the starting line of the Indianapolis 500. In any case, if you feel like going out and searching, you might want to read his book first to give you some clues. Good luck with that. While visiting St. Augustine, we had to go check out Castillo de San Marcos. Throughout its history, Castillo de San Marcos has been commanded by 4 different countries: Spanish, British, United States, and the Confederate States of America. Unlike other forts, Castillo de San Marcos was never taken over by military force. Spain and the U.S. had possession 2 times each. Built between 1672 and 1695, it's no surprise it's the oldest stone wall fort in mainland U.S. The fort proved to be impenetrable, with walls that were 20 feet high and 14 feet thick at the base and 6 feet at the top. The walls of the fort were made from a shell called the coquina, and it turns out to be a good thing, because instead of a wall shattering from being hit by a cannonball, the coquina helped to absorb a hit. So a cannonball hitting the fort would literally be absorbed and embedded in the wall. With all that history going on, you would think that there'd be ghosts hanging out, right? Watching some of these ghost chasing shows, they have something called an EMF detector. Well, I got one for Christmas, so I decided to try it out. And Take it from me, this stuff is really legit. Did anybody else hear that? We heard so many great things about the city of Sanford that we had to go and check it out. They have regular and annual events such as Alive After 5, which is a monthly street festival, and there's also something called Sofas and Suds that's actually a couch racing competition between local businesses. Besides the thriving art and theater community, you can also find a variety of international cuisine like Hollerbach's for German, Zorba's for Mediterranean, and the Grill Spice for Jamaican, just to name a few. This is us over at Christo's for brunch while we were there. We also walked around the marina and down the boardwalk and even found an awesome cigar bar to top off our day before it was time to make our way back home. We had an excellent time here at Sanford and would love to plan a visit when they're having one of their special events. Next, we headed over to Silver Springs State Park to take a ride on the glass-bottom boat. The park has lots to see and do, with over 5,000 acres to hike or paddle. The river itself is home to alligators, turtles, fish, and birds. Besides the glass-bottom boats, there are clear kayaks available to explore the water below. It was fascinating to see what kind of marine life we could see through the glass-bottom boat. Another cool thing about this park is, in the 1930s, Silver Springs State Park attracted the attention of Hollywood, and some famous movies were made here, like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Rebel Without a Cause, Moonraker, and even some episodes of Tarzan and Sea Hunt. Before leaving this beautiful place, we took a walk through the garden and quickly realized spring was on its way and it was time for us to leave. We really enjoyed our visit to Silver Springs State Park and would gladly come back again to explore more of this awesome park. Here's a painting I did a while back, and it kind of reminds me of being in Florida. I hope you enjoy. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. And please consider becoming a Patreon.